defining the character of ArtCenter. The words you used before, professional, I like the idea of being taught by someone who also works at his profession, someone who knows what's going on outside and who brings it to you with a concern for doing the job right.
I like working on real problems that they give us, and the idea that the instructors aren't just current, but they're thinking ahead too. They're in the business, and you know, whether they're in advertising or product or transportation, they make me really work and stretch to get ahead, you know, and do things that I wouldn't have done before.
I also like the idea of working in groups of people, because I felt very sure that the end product wasn't something that people did completely isolated. That course we took in management with the behavioral aspects of working with others gave me a new feeling of how I come off in a group.
Well, I think that was my biggest problem before I came here was, you know, how do you solve something?
The problem solving is I think the most important part of the whole school. I think the real test of a man's ingenuity and creativity and imagination is when he takes a problem that's never been posed, or takes all the data that's been accumulated on like ideas and then comes up with a solution.
The advertising designer today is much more concerned with the total advertising problem. He has to be much more aware of the marketing, merchandising, total advertising concept. Here is a new product, still in experimental stage. It was invented by Bristol Myers. This is the material that will do the job of a toilet soap. It contains no lye, therefore isn't harmful to the skin. It could look any way you want it to look. It can be any color. It can have any smell that you prefer. Decide what the product should look like, how it should be promoted and sold, design a package that would be appropriate, and then do both print and television advertising that will announce this new product to the market.
Advertising design is my major, and the biggest thing I've learned is the idea of total concept, picturing a whole campaign for advertising, putting all my ideas down, whether it's copy or layout or illustration, but getting them down on paper. I know I've got to present my ideas in an acceptable way, but it's the thinking that pays off.
We go back to the very premise of packaging that we've been talking about all along, and that is, what is the product, you know, what is it for, who uses it, how, why, where do they buy it, under what conditions. We're talking about soup as a commodity that people consume. We have actually one solution that's in the development stage, Schloop, S-C-H-S-L-O-U-P. and in parentheses for kids. Now boy, that says it. You're trying to say soup while you're taking it, or you're slurping a spoon in your mouth. Schloop, for kids. This is exactly the type of thing I was talking about. Don't be afraid of putting down an idea in terms of what is it, who uses it, how, where, why, when, you know. This is the real key to it. Then you're starting fresh.
It's tempting to design a pretty package, to get an idea you like and say, wow, wouldn't that look great in red or blue? But in packaging design, research comes first. Who's going to buy it? Who's going to use it? Where is it going to be sold? I have to think merchandising before design if I want the package to be effective.
may get the idea that he can go out and expose and develop and print why he is a photographer. That is not the case. Don't go out with your cameras. Don't go out with any preconceived ideas. Study the subject until you're just totally saturated with it. Then your ideas will flow faster than you can put them down. From then on, it's going to be a problem of eliminating. A camera has no intelligence. It will only do what you direct it to. It will only remember what you want it to remember. The idea, the concept has got to be yours.
The photographer is an artist. He is a designer, in a sense. He's a painter. The camera is his tool to portray a subject with excitement. He learns that lighting can set the mood, but primarily he learns to study everything he can about what he sees before he ever uses his camera. This is it, to spend a little time to get to know the subject.
Today's illustrator must be a much better educated man than the illustrator of the past. His schooling in the graphic arts and his education in the humanities must be much more profound. Well, the great difference between the illustrator of yesteryear and today is one of flexibility. The ability to function in a number of graphic areas with conviction is necessary for success today. The public is more sophisticated, technical excellence is expected and demanded. It is necessary to have a mind fertile in ideas, and no matter whether you're in business, law, medicine, science, or the arts, if you are not technically equipped to express an idea, it does not matter how profound that idea is, it shall be stillborn.
An illustrator has to see lots of things about life. He needs to study people, places, atmospheres, fashions, scenery, machines. He should do a lot of living in order to interpret what he sees for others. Because he's an interpreter, he's a kind of link between what's happening in society and those who can't visualize. He makes life come to life for them.
Interior space design is the first step in planning to meet the needs of a client with a building problem. Before the architect takes over, the interior space planner is concerned with research, plans, elevations, models, suggestions on furniture and equipment, color and lighting. As the concepts and practice of architecture are changing by the use of systems and programming, so is the industrial designer becoming more concerned with environmental design, understanding the whole plan in relationship to the client and to the best functional uses of space.
I'm an interior space design student, and I've got to be involved with the total environment. I study the functions of people within a given space, whether it's an office building, a marina, or an exhibition. I have to create the best development of that space for the people's needs. As architectural systems develop new ways of living, I've got to become more and more concerned with resolving and defining the needs of the people.
considerable extent, I think the general public still look upon the product designer as a stylist. But today, the trend has been away from styling as such and has moved into what I call product development. I think a product is always designed from the inside out. Sometimes these projects, such as a sewing machine, has some 200 odd parts. I had 2 students who started to research the post office, and so after 2 semesters, they started in to design a new postal system. This is a type of work more and more that product designers are called upon to do.
What is really happening now is the product designer is becoming more involved with new systems, as in discovering the uses and the resources of the sea, new ways of traveling underwater, how to provide power, fuel for machines, food for men, thus creating a whole new environment.
Transportation stagnates, it's going to be the end of this country. We're going to have to do something to get people to and from work more quickly, more efficiently, and so that we can use our highways to drive on for pleasure or take a vacation. We cannot design a system of mass transportation in Los Angeles the same as in San Francisco, or the same as in Pittsburgh, or the same as in New York or any other city. There's a difference of terrain. The people are different. These things have to be analyzed, and answers have to be arrived at before a particular system will fit in a particular area.
In working on a rapid transit problem, there's several things you have to consider: economics, geography, human functions, and especially human attitudes. I think the transportation designer has to be open in his approach to design. Transportation doesn't always mean just 4 wheels and a new body design. It's an uninhibited approach to problem solving that makes the excitement and solves the problem.
Constantly going through a re-evaluation, and the student, he has to know the philosophies of the past, he has to know the techniques of the past. What I'm concerned with is exactly what the school is concerned with: to provide the student with a real knowledge of art that one could call authoritative. So he must be historically oriented. At the same time, he must also think of himself. So this is what we're trying to do in the fine arts, to teach the youngster all about art and to encourage him to be himself in an important way.
The emphasis of the fine arts program here is towards a complete awareness to everything. There's no one direction forced of any particular school of art except the school of self-expression.
Students will have no trouble in getting a film concept. You can put your ideas down on paper. The main problem we're faced with is in getting you to translate this idea onto film, and that's where we're going to place the emphasis. By solving problems that relate to a personal statement, you're going to learn basic film techniques, and with this kind of background you can go on and make films on your own. Here are some excerpts of films from the film workshop.
not sure we ever did define Art Center as any one thing, but a lot of things put together that makes it meaningful to us. Hard work.
And it's an exchange of ideas, an exchange of information and thoughts and feelings. The instructor and the student are reacting to each other. The fact that everything is really so personal around here. The fact that you are an individual and they want to work with your individual talents.
I was really off base on this, and I thought all I had to do was make something good and I was in, you know. But, of course, when you're working with professional people here,